Hi, Susan here with Balance with Resonance Repatterning. And I hope you're doing well with this whole situation that's going on in the world right now. It's pretty stressful for most people, I think, myself included. So, what I'm here to talk about today is resonance repatterning. And it occurs to me that this technique would be very, very helpful to people during this time. But the problem is nobody knows what it is. And so I thought that I would do a couple of videos and talk about it and explain what it is and do a session on myself and record it so that people can see it in action and maybe understand why it would be helpful to you or somebody that you know. So I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I found out about resonance repatterning in 2013. It was developed by a woman named Chloe Wordsworth, and she began teaching it to other people in 1997. And she had a background in elemental acupuncture and just a real holistic background. She's a very incredible woman. I haven't met her, but I've read her books, and the fact that she developed this system is pretty incredible. So I found out about it in 2013. I was at that time very ill. I had chronic illness, what they kind of call mystery illness, and it was chronic fatigue, electrical sensitivity, chemical sensitivity, PTSD. I can't even remember everything I had going on. I was in quite a miserable state though at that time. And I was in therapy, and my therapist was very good. But we had kind of reached a point where we kind of had plateaued out, and I could tell she didn't quite know what to do with me at that point, and I needed a little something else. And so one of my practitioners, my healthcare practitioners, told me about resonance repatterning, and I set up an appointment. I was willing to do anything and everything to get well again, and I didn't even look it up. I just went in, and I went to a woman who was practicing about an hour and a half from where I lived, and I was so ill I couldn't drive. My dad drove me. And before I went in for the appointment, I felt like I had a dark cloud of depression, despair, hopelessness. I didn't want to be here. I really didn't even want to really be living. And yet I did, but I didn't. It was this weird thing. And when I left the session, I felt completely different. I felt like all of that black, heavy despair and depression had been lifted from me. And it wasn't a cure-all, but it was one big step in many steps that led to my recovery. And when I left that session, I said to myself, I'm going to learn this. I don't know how, because I was so sick at the time. I don't know how, but I'm going to learn this. And in, spring, early summer of 2016, I had just finished up my Bowen Work Practitioner certification. And lo and behold, a resonance repatterning class was being offered, and I signed up for it. And the class went through about 9 months. It was a bit of a tough year. My mom passed away that year, and I ended up having to miss a class and retake it. But I did it, and I really clicked with this technique. It made sense to me. I didn't struggle with it at all. It just clicked. It made total sense. And I was the only person out of my class who got certified. And once finishing the classes, certification generally takes 2 years, and I fast-tracked it and did it in a year. And so I have been certified since, 2018, I guess, for a couple years now. And in this current situation that we're having in the world, we're practicing physical distancing, and so we can't do in-person sessions. But the really amazing thing about resonance repatterning is that we can do it over the phone, because it really all comes down to energy. And the magical part of resonance repatterning is what we do at the end of the session, which is called a modality or a spiral up tool. And that's something that we muscle check for, and it helps. It doesn't help, it just does it. It changes the client's resonance with the problem. And you can call it quantum physics or universal energy or whatever, but what we resonate with in our lives, we experience. And so as human beings, we have certain beliefs that sometimes we go through life and they've been unidentified. We don't question them. And so, examples of that might be beliefs that we picked up from our family, because in our first 5 years, we are like a little computer that's just downloading all information. It's not questioned. There's no filter. We're just downloading it from our family. And so we get generational beliefs, we get societal beliefs, we get family beliefs. And then as we go through life, we have traumas that happen to us, or, various things that happen that were stressful and our needs weren't met during that time. And then through those situations, we develop beliefs, and often they're negative beliefs. And so what resonance repatterning does is we identify these beliefs and we kind of bring them out to the surface. And we use muscle checking. Muscle checking, I look at it as, there's this old saying, when 2 or more people gather with the same intentions, miracles can happen. And that's how I look at this session. It's like we are working together for your highest good to get to the core of the truth of what's going on, so that this problem that you're bringing to the table can get resolved. We can change your resonance with it. And when your resonance changes, that problem might still be there, but things will shift. It's really incredible. Like, we don't do this with trying to change somebody else, but I often find that when somebody gets a session and we identify what's going on with them and they get cleared out and their resonance changes, people respond to them differently. It just fades away. I'd like to point out that resonance repatterning is not therapy. It is not counseling. I am not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. This is identifying core patterns that continue to cause problems in the present time. And we use muscle checking, like I said. And so this is called muscle checking. It's not muscle testing. So like if you were to go to a chiropractor or say a nutritionist and they checked your arm like this to see what supplements you needed or that kind of thing, this is different. If we were doing an in-person session, I would be checking your arm this way to find out what your resonance is with certain statements. But because we aren't doing in-person sessions at this time in our life, we do them over the phone. And phone sessions are just as amazing as in-person sessions. You're not losing anything. But the only difference is that I muscle check on your behalf. And then I also, during a session, muscle check on myself to find out where we're going in the session, what is for your highest good, what we need to do. This is not muscle checking like, should I marry Joe? Do I need to get surgery? This isn't that. We're checking your resonance. And so, yeah, that's about it. So we start out with this book, and they named it The Mandala. And so what we do is when somebody comes in for a session, we start out there and we're checking to see if they need, what their highest good is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another video, and we're going to do a little mini session on myself so that I can show you what a session looks like and how impactful it can be for changing things that are going on. Okay? So thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. And I hope you join me for the next one. Okay? Bye.